Hello everyone, thanks so much for joining. As always, truly appreciate you all. Go ahead, you know the next steps, hit that subscribe button below. We're gonna go ahead and jump right into the crucialness of the follow-up. So the first one is, for the seller or the owner that you're reaching out to, it shows your level of commitment if you're steadily following up and staying top of radar. And there's ways to follow up and there's ways to not follow up. One way to not follow up and to avoid is using the same pitch over and over in the same message. A prime example is you're reaching out to them saying, now are you interested in selling? Now you're interested in selling. That's a good way for you to get blocked or to get yelled at, which a lot of times you may get yelled at when you're doing outreach to an owner, whether it's via a cold call or you send a direct mail piece and you have someone call you that they may not be in the best of moods. So try to avoid that as much as possible and be creative with your follow-up. One thing that I've heard is creativity follows commitment. So that layers right into everything. The second is timing. Anything can happen. I'll just give you a case study. I was in talks, I did a cold call to an owner of an apartment that was in Cincinnati, Ohio. It was a husband and wife. They mentioned by no means they would be interested in selling whatsoever of the property. And they said that they planned on refinancing. So this was, at the time, I did not have follow-up really in my skill set. I was aware of it, but didn't really have it honed in as far as my focus. So through that, I put them on the schedule to follow up 4 months later. So I did follow up 4 months later, and they actually indicated that they had a buyer and they were closing the following month, and they actually ended up closing. So from that experience is that husband and wife ended up unfortunately facing a divorce, and they had to sell within that time period. So as I alluded to, unfortunate situations do happen, and this goes into anything can change. So if you're steadily following up with someone and you're in the right place at the right time, or you're essentially the one that's still in front of them when that does change, when they happen to be motivated, then you'll be the person that they reach out to. The last is the 80-20 principle. Many of you have heard this, which is Pareto's law, and it is you can look at it from the 20% to the 80% or the 80% to the 20%. Is that, and this comes down to being able to hone in on your criteria so you can focus 80% of your efforts. That'll give you actually 20% of the results that you're looking for. So if you're looking for owners that fit the specific criteria of, let's say they're motivated, whether they just inherited the property or that they just recently relocated and they're trying to manage a farm and they are tired of managing it from a distance. Maybe they've evicted tenants, or maybe they need the cash for whatever reason. If you have that, and in addition to that, the property is in distressed condition, and then the last is their timeline to sell is now or either within the next 30 to 60 days. Through that is you have that criteria, and those individuals that fit that, you are able to focus 80% of your efforts, because those are the ones that's going to give you the most results, versus going with a seller who is not really a seller, that is willing to sell for, many of you have heard it, I'll sell for the right price, or something that's above appraised value, or maybe the Zestimate, which a lot of the times the Zestimate is a little bit off. Those are the ones you want to focus 20% of your actual efforts and time in versus the 80%, because those are sometimes you'll be able to snag those deals where it does not fit your normal criteria, but a lot of times it does not. That does not happen just due because there's no motivation. The person's looking for top dollar. So those are, I just really want you to take away the follow-up, because this has been an absolute, I would say, just evolution in my business, because this is where the money is made and what separates the rookies from the amateurs, and then the amateurs from the pros. because many times people, one, don't even make the first follow-up after someone has expressed they're not interested. And a lot of times it takes between the 6 to 8 touch just to get in contact with someone to then give your pitch. And many of the times it takes later attempts to convert the person from not being interested to then being interested. So this is where it comes into play, that many times you're not able to get that home run and acquire that deal on your first try. It's going to take multiple attempts. So I hope you're able to get away with that. I'll catch you on the next video. Comment below. I would love to hear your different types of follow-ups that you've been able to leverage. Many of you have heard ones that I love using is a small Rubik's Cube that I'll send to an owner that what I love to say is fell into the twilight zone. They go absolute ghost, where you may send them an offer, or let's say you send them an offer and you don't hear back from them. So I'll send them a Rubik's Cube that says, hey, let's figure this out, with a small note. Another one that you can leverage, I have not done this yet, is just a small shoe. Send that to them in the mail, and it with a small note that says, hey, looking to get my foot in the door. So it just comes down with being being creative, because creativity follows commitment. If you want it bad enough, you'll figure out a way, and the ethical way, of course, to follow up and get these deals closed. Catch you on the next one. Have a great one.